From the Sky News Centre at 4. A member of the House of Lords says it's right for the upper house of Parliament to debate Rishi Sunak's Rwanda bill fully to propose amendments. Earlier, the Prime Minister urged peers to back his plan to send failed asylum seekers to Africa. Meanwhile, the government's being reprimanded by the UK Statistics Authority after it claimed it cleared the asylum backlog. Rishi Sunak made a pledge in December 2022 to abolish a portion of older claims, but more than 4,500 applications still need a decision. Enver Solomon, the chief executive of the Refugee Council, isn't impressed.
The government is playing with statistics to tell the story it wants to tell. I think it tells us that the system is still in a lot of chaos, a lot of disorder, and an awful lot of cost.
The Prince of Wales has visited his wife in a London hospital as she recovers from abdominal surgery. She's said to be doing well, while the Queen says the King is fine as he waits for treatment for an enlarged prostate. It's understood Tata Steel will close both blast furnaces at its plant in Port Talbot in South Wales. If it goes ahead, it could lead to the loss of 3,000 jobs. Britain's Emma Raducanu says she felt sick during her second-round defeat at the Australian Open tennis to China's Yafan Wang. It was her first Grand Slam back after a series of injuries, but she eventually lost by 2-1. Raducanu explains why she called for her trainer during the deciding set.
Third set, I was 30 up serving, and all of a sudden just felt so sick, just really weak and just nauseous. So throughout the third set, I think everyone could see it was a bit of a battle.
And experts in Glasgow say we should walk like penguins to avoid slipping during the cold and icy weather. There are concerns temperatures could fall to minus 18 degrees Celsius overnight. That's the latest. I'm Kat Suave.
Talk Radio Europe.
The Spanish news is brought to you by Línea Directa. Change to Línea Directa and get 2 months free car insurance.
Good afternoon. Police have arrested 18 people alleged to be involved in a shamanic organisation that sold hallucinogenic drugs to its members. The suspects are accused of promoting organised rituals involving banned psychoactive substances. Mescaline, a well-known hallucinogenic drug, and poisonous secretions from tree frogs are also said to have been used and sold by the organisation. The group operated out of so-called epicentres for inner evolution across the country, but are also said to be active in 10 other countries in Europe and Latin America. The group became known to investigators after adverts were found online promoting neo-shamanic rituals. Police said the adverts promised an improvement in physical and mental health through the consumption of psychoactive substances. Investigators eventually uncovered a headquarters allegedly belonging to the organisation in the Colombian jungle, where it had the means and raw materials necessary to prepare its products. 15 of the arrests were in Madrid. The 80 people detained have been charged with developing profit-making rituals involving the use of banned psychoactive substances. Some are also charged with human trafficking crimes, violation of workers' rights and smuggling, police said in a statement. In a major crackdown, law enforcement agencies have successfully dismantled a network of counterfeit trainer distribution across Elche, Madrid and Toledo. The operation, codenamed Victoria, began last May and culminated in the seizure of over 95,000 pairs of the sports shoes, along with over 10,000 euros in cash. The confiscated assets are valued at more than 2 million euros. Agents from the National Police, collaborating with the Municipal Police of Madrid and Customs Surveillance of the tax agency, worked together to uncover and dismantle the illicit operation. The police operation led to the arrest of 7 individuals, all of Asian origin, who are now facing charges related to crimes against industrial property and smuggling. During inspections conducted in December, law enforcement discovered a significant quantity of other counterfeit goods in premises and warehouses. The Asylum and Refugee Office resolved 92,963 cases last year, in addition to 1,022 stateless people and more than 33,900 temporary protections for people displaced by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Ministry of Home Affairs received 163,218 applications for international protection last year, 37% more than in the previous year, and the highest number since the office's creation in 1992. The figures place Spain as the third largest recipient of international protection in the European Union. By nationality, the country of origin and the largest number of applicants was Venezuela, with 60,534 applications, 37% of the total, followed by Colombia and Peru. The 3 countries account for over 78% of the total number of cases registered. And Nestlé Spain has invested €300,000 in renovating and expanding its condensed milk factory in Galicia. The factory is one of the oldest in Spain and founded on the 1st of February 1938. Inaugurated in 1939, the plant produced its first can of condensed milk in the August of that year. That's the latest from TRE. I'm Bob James.
Ask for a competitive quote today on 919 181 130. That's 919 181 130. Best price, better cover. Terms and conditions apply.
Saving on your insurance is easy with Linea Directa.
Easy? How easy?
Well, it's like riding a bike.
Oh, you mean like falling off a log?
Piece of cake.
Ah, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Talking of which, have you got any of that cheesecake left? Switch and save on your insurance with Linea Directa. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 satisfied customers recommend us. Call 919-181-130. That's 919-181-130 and get the best price for car, bike and home insurance. Conditions apply.
It's Good News Week. Someone's fallen out somewhere. Idle gossip everywhere. But we don't care. It's Good News Week. There's a Euro Weekly everywhere, full of good news for you to share. Someone's found a way to give a happy life we do live. It's Good News Week. Have you heard the news? Euro Weekly's everywhere. Pick up the Euro Weekly and put a smile on your face. Every Thursday. It's Good News Week.
This is Talk Radio Europe.
TRE in the afternoon. Presented by Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. It's just gone 5:05. You are now listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today, we have Eileen Ordas, Sheila Meller and Katie Rowlands. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Thank you all for coming in. If you're listening at home and you would like to join in the conversation, you honestly can. Here is how.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95.
What a beautiful day, it's a wonderful life.
So we had a little chat with the men last week about New Year, New You, all that kind of stuff. I just wondered if it was they all kind of went, oh no, they didn't really have. They were a bit like, oh no, don't really do resolutions and stuff. So I thought, right, I'm going to ask the women and see. I mean, you don't worry, you don't have to either. I kind of said that I didn't really, to be honest. But anyway, is it something you think about New Year? Do you start thinking about goals or things that you could change or things that you want to improve on?
I thought about all those things.
Right.
But no, and I decided this year not to do a resolution. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, last year I had a big birthday.
Okay.
And I had a sort of thought-provoking moment, and I did something that I'd never done before, mm-hmm. and it took some sorting out to manage it. And my new mantra is, if not now, when?
Yeah, love that.
That's what. So yes, that's my resolution for life now.
Yeah, I like that, and I've sort of had a similar thing. Instead of thinking of resolutions, things like the obvious,
exercise. Weight,
yeah, exactly, exactly. Exercise more, eat less, all those kind of things, which are all good to do. It's more kind of sort of lifestyle changes that you can keep up. And that's true when you're thinking about dieting and exercising as well. Whenever I speak to these experts, none of them suggest, going on a crash diet or going from doing no exercise to going to the gym 5 times a week. None of these things are realistic. It's about taking it slow to start with, but, incorporating changes in your life that you can keep up, that are realistic.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do what you like.
I've done a vision board for this year, and I've done a vision board for last year, which is more of a feeling of what you want to achieve rather than really tangible goals. Mm-hmm. So it's a collection of pictures and words. So my vision board for last year would be things like performing on stage or a picture of mountains. So it's getting me to go on the mountains, and then once I'm on the mountains, that's going to make me become fitter. It's not lose 10 pounds or be able to do this event. It's go on the mountains, and then once you're on the mountains, obviously you're going to be able to walk or you're going to be able to go on your bike. So I think for me it's more of a feeling rather than these things I must achieve in the next 12 months. I think that's more important than having those tangible things that perhaps you're going to fail in and therefore you're going to get quite upset with.
Yeah, and that works for you, the vision boards?
Well, last year I did a vision board and I put it in my diary, so I would refer to it now and again. And this year I've got it on the background of my phone, so every time I open my phone I've got a feeling of what I thought I'd like to achieve in the next 12 months. So yes, this year it's more focused on emotions and my reactions to certain situations rather than tangible events and things like that.
I don't know what the age profile of the men was last week. I wasn't able to listen in, but I think it's an age thing. I used to do vision boards. I used to do set challenges. I used to do the emotion thing and the feeling thing and the hard task things, and used to do that a lot with the team, that I worked with when I was in education. But these days I just like to let every day unfold and see what it brings.
Yeah, nice.
I think everyone's got a different stage of life depending on your age sometimes, don't they? So I suppose in the first half of your life you might be more goal motivated, and then in the second half of your life you want to lay back a bit or just enjoy all of what you've learned in the first half of your life. So I think it is very age dependent. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And with experience you'll know that if you're going to set yourself a goal of losing 2 pounds a week for the first before Easter, then experience teaches you that you're probably not going to do that. Unless you take a concrete step towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. There was an article that sort of made me chuckle. That's obviously this is a UK paper with UK statistics. The headline was "Wintry Ways to Beat the January Blues," and a lot of these things I couldn't relate to at all. A lot of them were very kind of UK based, but talking about the fact that it's really cold, that's the main kind of thing. Things like snuggling up with a blanket on the sofa, putting on pyjamas once you get home, fluffy socks and slippers, open fires, all those kind of things, which I was sort of like, I still do a bit of that here. Closing the curtains at 4 p.m, that made me go,
definitely not.
That's definitely a UK thing. That's certainly not something we'd be
Most
doing
of us
here.
haven't got curtains.
No, even so, absolutely. But
I love getting into my PJs and being comfy and snuggling up, and I still like to have something over me. It's nice.
Yeah,
I love the fluffy socks and the pyjamas. Yes. As soon as I can get into them, I'm in them. And the other day I bought a weighted blanket. It's yet to arrive, but that's supposed to be quite good if you're feeling a bit anxious or just to calm you down in the evenings. And it's supposed to be up to 10% of your body weight. So if you're 60
never heard of that.
If you're 60 kilograms, obviously you can buy up to 6 kilograms. So yes,
that's interesting that actually, because when we were kids, looking at the profile here, just looking at two people, we used to have blankets on the bed, not duvets. So you'd have blankets and then you'd have an eiderdown, which would be the equivalent of having a weighted.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Whenever I visit my grandma, I always feel like I'm really weighted down by 2 or 3 layers on the bed.
Yeah, there you go.
But you have to have a summer one and a winter one, don't you? Because you have to have for summer you still want the weight, but you don't want the heat that comes with like an extra blanket or something.
Sometimes they recommend just relaxing with it rather than sleeping with it, so I intend probably just to relax with it if I've had a particularly stressful day.
We don't have a summer and winter duvet. We only have one duvet, which is quite thin. It's not a big thick one. It's quite thin, and in the winter we have a blanket on top, and then in the summer, get rid of it completely, just have a sheet. So but lots of people have a summer duvet because they prefer having something over them.
I do. I like that idea though of getting close and personal with a weighted blanket.
It sounds quite nice, doesn't it? I need to look into it.
Perhaps I've been single for too long.
But
Brilliant.
I find it's some years ago I knew actually it's my husband's children. They were born in Wales, and the children, their babies there, are swaddled. And they're wrapped quite tightly. The arms are actually pinioned to the body, and they're wrapped round, actually swaddled. And children don't know anything else because they do it from being babies. But it gives you that real sense of security, I would think, to be.
My grandchildren were swaddled.
I'm Welsh, so I don't know about that. For me,
well, I've never seen it. It wasn't in Rochdale.
I'll have to ask my parents.
No, my grandchildren were.
Really?
My daughter-in-law absolutely insisted because of that safety aspect, and they slept better, etc., etc.
Oh, interesting.
Really tightly swaddled. I didn't like the idea of it because I just think babies should be free. But it worked, worked for them. So
I remember being young, and when my grandma, well, probably not necessarily that young, I used to find it comforting. My grandma would tuck me in, and I just remember her going all around my body where the duvet or whatever was, tucking it in every little area all around my body. And then I remember but thinking I was drifting off to sleep and wanting to move, and then feeling guilty and thinking, I don't want to move because you've taken such effort to get me in this position. I think I must fall asleep in this position. But I remember that was the closest I got to being swaddled, I think. The other things they talk about, things like rewatching favourite films and all that kind of thing. That's a nice thing to do.
That's nice.
Really nice. And so there is, what is it? FOMO, fear of missing out. It says here JOMO, joy of missing out, which I quite like. The thing of, instead of looking at photos and seeing people going out and thinking, I wish I was invited, or I wish I was with them, thinking, thank goodness I'm at home. Enjoying the comforts of home instead of wishing that you were out. I like that. That's a different kind of different way.
And anything that starts with joy is a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. Holiday trends. This year's holiday trends. New getaways for 2024. Things like a sportcation, a holiday that involves activities, usually shore or water-based. Well, surely that's all activities. A relaxtive getaway, breaks for the type of individual who can relax only when being creative. There's this thing called boomerang tourism, which is millennial adult children rejoining their parents for holidays abroad.
I still go on holiday with my parents.
Do you?
Yes. We go on a ski holiday once a year. Nice. And I've started to break it to them. I said, soon this will have to stop. And I think they're quite sad about that.
Why? Are you frightened of falling?
Well, I'm 30 and my sister's 26 or 25, and I said, well, in the future we're not going to have the money available to do this and go skiing with you as a family all the time, or perhaps we'll want to go with other people.
Yes. So have you? It's not that you've stopped holidaying with them, have gone, but you always have.
Yes.
That's amazing. How lovely.
Since the age of 5, I've gone on a ski trip once a year, every year with my family.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And my sister's skiing at the moment and she's having a great time.
Without the parents.
With another family, actually. One of her friends and her family, and she's having a great time, but she texted me and said, I'm missing skiing with you somewhat.
Nice.
So that's nice.
Yeah, that's lovely, family holidays. Why not?
Yes. And I see my parents more now I live in Spain than I did in the UK.
Really?
Yes.
How interesting.
They're with me all the time.
Quality time.
Yes, it's really good quality time.
Yeah.
Because it's more of an event coming out to Spain.
Yeah.
And they're there to help me and things like that, so it's great.
It's lovely, the idea of spending time with, I was going to say with anyone, but we're talking about family, spending time with family through choice.
Yeah.
What a lovely thing, wanting to spend time with each other, whether they're in the same country or a different country, taking the time and effort and money to see them, but because you really want to, as opposed to, it's a certain day of the, I've got to do this with whoever, it's something that you're invested in and you want to do, which is great.
I think in the modern day it's a lot easier because my mum works remote and my dad's retired, so people working remote, they can go here, there and everywhere, really.
Absolutely. So when you think of holidays ahead for the year or for the future, do you think the type of things that you look for in a holiday or would like to look for in a holiday has changed over the years?
I don't feel the urge to go on holiday as much living in Spain because we've got quite a lot of what we need. For me, though, I do like really memorable things. So I would really like to do a endurance event involving bikes. So maybe over 5 days, and they drive you up the mountain somewhat, but you need to do a bit of climbing on the bike and then going downhill. I'd love to do a sort of once in a lifetime opportunity like that. So I'd be down for a sporty holiday.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm not sure about everyone else.
Well, we used to do that. We used to organise with friends cycling holidays, and we'd all take our bikes to Mallorca.
That's really nice.
And then we got a boat, and then everybody came sailing with us. So I gave an awful lot of people sportcations on like running a hotel.
Oh, wow.
But I don't do any of that now, but I think that's my circumstances. But I think if I were going on a holiday alone, I don't know I'm fit enough to do cycling, but I could definitely go sailing again. And whitewater rafting I've never done.
Yeah, I haven't, but I wouldn't want to.
Really?
Every time when I see people doing it in films or TV, I kind of think, no, it doesn't appeal to me at all. That
I think it's a lot milder in real life in comparison to films, yes. I also follow a page on Facebook called Extreme Day Trips, and it's about people who go away for 24 hours and they just go for one night somewhere from the UK.
Love that.
Yes. So the other day I went skiing for one day on my own. So I stayed for 2 nights, and then I skied during the day. And then I made friends in the night, and then I made friends with people during the day. And this lovely Spanish group of friends said, you can join us for un ratito. I said, well, what do you mean by that? They said, well, you could join us for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever you want. So it is quite fun doing extreme things in short duration if you haven't got a lot of time available.
Yeah, I love that. Sheila, when you think about holidays you've had in the past compared to the future, has that changed?
Not a lot.
No?
No, I think because I've just been so lucky to have so many opportunities to holiday and to do so many varied. I was just trying to think that of all the different types of holidays I've had, and some have just been lying on a beach, and some have been, hot air ballooning or climbing up mountains or sailing or I'd just be open to anything that was coming my way. Me, if somebody said come and do this, I'd just say okay.
Yeah, you're very adventurous. It's great. Wow. Really nice.
But I did do something different this year, because when I went to Morocco over Christmas, that's the very first time I've ever travelled with other people, because usually I've always travelled on my own.
Really?
And done my own itinerary and agenda, and chose, pleased myself what I've done when I've done. And I was a bit concerned whether I'd be okay in a group, but I loved it.
Yeah,
I really got on well with it.
So you're pleased you did it.
Off to Vietnam on Monday with another group, so I hope I get on as well with them.
I think you need, with groups, you need a big enough group that you can be on your own, don't you? If there's 5 of you, difficult to separate yourself, isn't it? But if there are 10 or 12,
there was 15 of us in Morocco.
If you really don't like the people who are sitting at the table with you, take yourself away.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Exciting. We better take a break.
Talk Radio Europe.
Unblock UK television from Spain. Stream VPN provides fast access to all your favourite UK TV channels. BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and 5 from just £4 a month. Use our app on your iPad, tablet or Fire Stick to watch UK TV online now. StreamVPN.com, dedicated to streaming.
It's time to review your financial planning for 2024. Are you paying too much tax on your investment income? What does retaining UK assets mean for tax? Are your savings protected from inflation? Will the UK pension reforms affect you? Will your estate planning achieve your wishes? Blevins Franks specialises in holistic financial planning and can help with all these concerns and more. Contact Blevins Franks today for a consultation. Visit blevinsfranks.com.
This is Talk Radio Europe.
Radio without frontiers.
Talk Radio Europe.
Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Women Talk with me in the studio today, Eileen Ordas, Sheila Meller and Katie Rowlands. If you would like to get involved, you can. You can give us a call or drop us an email or a WhatsApp. There's an article which I've saved from last week because I mentioned this with the men and I was really excited about it and they didn't get it at all and said maybe you'll get a different reaction from the women. So, The headline reads, How I found inner calm by smashing up an entire room with a baseball bat. Forget mindfulness. Overwrought women are venting their anger in Britain's new rage rooms. And I read that and thought, wow, I loved the sound of that. And all the men were just like, no, really? No, they didn't get it at all. Is that something that excites you, or is it literally just me?
Not really. When I was younger. I think when I was younger, definitely. When I used to get het up, it'd be great to just go and smash things, rather than. But now, just doesn't. No, because I don't allow things to build up that much to get me that cross, So,
Do you need to be cross though?
Yeah, I was thinking it's not the time.
You need to be cross.
No, I'm not cross.
Well,
you just
to vent something,
I know what you mean.
I'd find it really, maybe with a feather.
I just find it really satisfying. It's more a kind of, I don't know, just as I was explaining to the guys last week, and again they didn't get it. When you're in like a certain posh department store and there's like lots of glass everywhere and things like that, do you never get a kind of, obviously I would never act on it, and I'm not saying anyone should ever do this, but not like a little kind of devil in your head going, wouldn't it be fun to just get your arm and kind of just like send everything flying? And
can't say that's ever entered my head.
Really?
No.
Oh
no,
gosh,
you're alone.
This is embarrassing.
I think that's called an intrusive thought. I think people have different ones.
Okay.
So your intrusive thought is specific to smashing things up, maybe. But I wouldn't want to smash things up in a room most of the time. I'm rarely angry. I think I'm on the same plate as you. I think I don't have that urge within me to smash anything up.
Yeah, I'm not connecting to the anger side of things, to be honest. I'm not seeing it as
side of it.
Yes, it's more a kind of fun.
Yes.
Because obviously I would never do it in a shop because the implications of doing that, you'd be arrested, it would cost you a fortune, you could never do it. So the idea of being given a bat and going in a room and that you could just smash stuff up, which just sounds really fun to me.
Have you been in Greek restaurants where they smash all the plates at the end?
No, I've been to Greek restaurants, but they've never done that. But I need to go to one where you can do that. I'd love that.
They do that. They do that in Estepona. We did it during the summer. Yes.
Oh, I need to find.
I don't think it was an every night occurrence, but it was Saturday night.
Just the night when I'm there. Eileen, does it not appeal to you then either?
No, although there have been times when I've sworn a lot more than I used to, and different words. So, but. It's like you could go and if you're really angry, you need a punch bag, don't you?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah,
go and find something like that. But what I'm thinking of is, there's this poem that everybody knows. When I am old, I will wear purple.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Well, one of the things there is. Oh yes, I'm just saying that I'm old.
No, you said
the threshold.
You said when you were older, so you're a little bit older than me.
No, it's when you see, I'm not old yet. I'm 29 in my life.
Older, not old.
But in the poem, the expression of anger and destruction is running your stick along the railings, which is a bit different from taking a baseball bat to
in the court and glass.
Exactly. Right, moving on.
I'll make sure I never give you a baseball bat if you come near me.
And if you find, I'll need to ask you about this Greek restaurant.
Yes, I will do, in the port.
Yes. Emotions now, from anger or not to emotions. This was a piece of an article written by Jenny Murray, who used to host Woman's Hour, Radio 4 Woman's Hour, talking about crying. She said, first time I've cried in 40 years.
I can't believe that.
Crying is good for you, according to a self-described tear teacher who travels throughout Japan to encourage adults to cry more. It's said to reduce stress. She says, I was a weeper. Tears would come if I was told off, didn't get the job I wanted, was disappointed in love, or watched a soppy film. Then I was told you must never be seen crying at work. People will think you're a softie and not up to the job. Men never do it, and neither should you. I somehow managed to teach myself not to cry, and because I didn't do it in public, I never did it in private either. And she says until last week, and the Mr. Bates verse did the post office had her crying loads. Crying, I certainly don't have a problem with crying. Do you criers?
It's weird that the Mr. Bates thing is the most upsetting thing she's come across in 40 years. She's had a bit of a charmed life then.
I know.
No, I don't think she's saying that. I think she's saying that it finally
opened a gate.
Yeah, well, God, I could think of a lot more.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No, she's had a lot of stuff in her life.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing that none of it's made her cry.
Right.
But I'm of her age, she's similar age to me, and definitely I would never have allowed myself to cry at work, whatever happened, because that was the era when I was in my 20s and 30s. Women were fighting to be treated as equals.
Yeah.
And it is true that in general, well, definitely then men never cried at work. And you would have been judged.
Wow.
What a shame.
As weaker if you had cried. Do you think?
I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think again I must have been lucky in my career because I never had I can't think of ever having an opportunity where I thought I need to cry.
Okay.
I was never upset in that way. I got angry sometimes, but I'd go in the loo. But I never cried because it didn't upset me enough. But in anything else, like my home life or watching a movie, just anything, seeing somebody else doing a play, seeing somebody else cry. As a child, my mum always used to say to me, "Your bladder's too near your eyes." I was always crying.
Yeah,
but, I don't have a problem in crying.
I actually cried in work this week, and I haven't cried in work for years, so that took me by surprise.
Yeah,
and obviously, when you're in front of people, it's not ideal to let it last very long or for it to be too intense. So I had to nip it in the bud quickly. But I think sometimes in front of children as a teacher, it's not the worst thing in the world if it happens now and again, because I see children cry quite a lot. So sometimes it's good to say, well, actually, I'm human too. And what I was crying about was just a multitude of lots of things piling up, and just one little thing tipped me over the edge. But I'm not really a crier. Normally, I probably cry about twice a year.
Wow,
which is not very often. But I was speaking to my dad the other day, and he said I used to cry almost every day when I was a teenager. So I think it's because I've got my emotions so under wraps, and I make sure I get a good night's sleep, and I don't drink too much alcohol, that I don't feel the need to get to that stage of crying, and I sometimes miss crying. I think there's probably a spectrum of frequency, so there's probably an ideal amount to cry. I think twice a year is probably not enough, and every day is too much.
Yeah.
But in the last sort of 8 weeks, I've definitely upped the frequency, which has been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've got whatever it might be of variations of different things, if you've got things that you feel kind of that warrant a cry, you can't necessarily control where that happens. I mean, I've been in many situations where I'm desperate not to cry, but can't help it. So if I've cried at work, it's not because I'm upset about something at work. I'm upsetting about something external, and I can't control crying where I am.
Exactly.
I mean, and
it gives such a good release afterwards of happiness.
And sometimes it can be really quick. I can cry, sob for 20 seconds, and then wipe my eyes, turn the TV on, and be laughing at something moments later, and genuinely feel, I feel better for that. Can get over it quite quickly. But again, that's not a control thing. That's just sometimes I obviously needed to get it out, and then I'm okay. But other times, it takes longer.
Yes, that was a bit like me this week. I was waiting to the end of a school lesson to cry, and it was in the last 2 minutes it came out, and then we had a 5-minute changeover, so I knew I had maximum 7 minutes. So I think I probably got it done by 5. My colleague asked me if I was okay. I quickly told her, and then I was fine by the next lesson changeover, so that was quite fun.
Well done.
I can remember reading Goodnight Mr. Tom to the Year 6s many, many years ago in another life, and I just could not. It was on this particular chapter where the child had been beaten, and I couldn't read any further because, the lump in my throat was so great, and I had to give it to one of the kids to read. They said, my name then was Mrs. D. They always used to call me Mrs. D. Are you crying, Mrs. D? I said, yeah, I am, because it's sad. And one of the kids had to carry on until I got myself under control.
That's the thing. It's not a control thing at all.
And
Really
sometimes people aren't that observant around you to realise you're crying, especially little ones. I remember actually a few months ago I had another cry as well because I found out an ex-student had died suddenly, and I started sobbing at 9 a.m. But because I had little ones in my room who were 11, I don't think they really noticed the change of my expression because they were just getting on with their own work. So it's quite interesting, really.
Sometimes it makes it, makes it worse. Obviously, it's lovely when someone comforts you, but something that sometimes it can make you cry. So sometimes if you need to stop crying and someone goes to hug you, it's kind of good to go, no, I'm fine. Tell me to pull myself together, shout at me, because the sympathy, it helps, but it can make you cry more, can't it? So sometimes if you've got to stop crying, a hug isn't necessarily the best thing. Someone's saying, "Oh, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine."
Maintain your distance, please.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, funny.
Yeah, but if you do just let go, then it's over more quickly, isn't it?
Yeah,
usually.
a lot of the time.
Like all emotions, really. You've got to I think you've got to feel that emotion at some point, whether you feel it now or later.
But I'm with you because what I always say, don't be nice to me. I can stand anything but people being nice.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I'm the opposite. Give me a cuddle. Any excuse.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take a break there.
TRE.
Sales at Mikołczon. Now with our exclusive Nessun brand, discounts of up to €350 on the purchase of your mattress, sofa or armchair. Enjoy the healthiest rest and comfort at the best price. We carry the best brands, including Stressless, Tempur, Emma, Flex and Relax. Don't miss out on our sales before closing. Nessun, the brand recommended by your mattressologists. Only at Mikołczon stores and mikołczon.com.
Oh, hello. I need help arranging a funeral for my mum. Do you speak English?
No solo español. No hablo inglés.
He doesn't speak English. What can we do?
Make sure your loved ones don't get left in a spin. Avalon Funeral Plans help families overcome language barriers that might make a difficult time even more stressful. Call 966 799 070 or find out more at avalonfuneralplans.com.
The new Talk Radio Europe app is available to download for Apple, Android and BlackBerry devices, so you can take TRE with you wherever you go. Download the app from our website, tre.radio. tre.radio.
Talk Radio Europe.
Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to Women Talk. With me in the studio today, we have Eileen Ordas, Sheila Meller and Katie Rowlands. There is, moving on from crying, this is a really interesting one. I'm excuse the pun, dying to know your thoughts on this. Because I'm not sure. I think I am, actually. Anyway, we shall see. So, the headline reads, could AI that enables you to chat, in inverted commas, with loved ones from beyond the grave help ease your grief? Now, straight away, you know, what does that mean? How does it work? Well, it's all to do with AI. It's all to do with programming. And the main thing is you can talk to someone that is... you're kind of led to believe is the loved one who's passed on, but the reality is it's not, obviously. I don't know. How do you feel about this? What would you think?
I'm very pro AI in the fact I use it every single day. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure about this instance. But I think what they would probably do is get texts and letters and messages from the deceased one, and then they'd probably emulate their style of writing.
Yeah.
And they'd probably predict what they would say to you on a given instance based on what they've already written.
Yeah. No,
so I do feel like AI can be very helpful in lots of aspects of life, especially for dealing with emotions. If you're struggling in a particular situation, you can write it out in prose form, or you can do an audio clip, and then the internet can suggest based on what you're feeling, what your main points are and things like that.
So can you see this working?
I can, yes. I don't think it's going to help the individual an awful amount, but I think it could be a step in the right direction because it's going to use artificial intelligence to predict what they might have said to you. But then I do feel like there could be a problem where we become over-reliant on AI. And there's a big discussion in education at the moment with it. But that was the same discussion when calculators came about. So I do feel like there's a lot of pressure put on it, thinking, oh no, it's going to change the world for the worse. Some people think that, but actually calculators didn't. So I do think there's probably more benefits than negatives with that situation overall.
Eileen and I were chatting just in the room about the fact that if I've got AI, if I understand it correctly, they could only ever create something that is already there. So they could only take from photos or messages so how much satisfaction there would be from having a conversation with somebody when you know that it's been just reshuffled from what they've already said.
Exactly. You know it's not them. You know that it's AI.
I suppose, though, AI does actually, moving on from that, does have other influences than what the deceased person has said. It presumably has access to other literature even or fiction of what other people might have said in a similar situation. But where I think it could be really dangerous is that some people who are grieving so deeply to think that they're talking to persuade themselves that they're talking to the one who has gone and depend on it so much and actually take actions that they wouldn't otherwise take because they believe they've got this other being there.
I think especially sometimes in the grief process, if people have left things unsaid or have said hurtful things or haven't had an opportunity because of maybe a sudden death not to say the things that they wanted to say, I think that kind of drives you kind of to want to have those conversations. But I don't think it would bring peace. I might be wrong.
I don't know. I mean, this is what they're saying is one of the pros.
Right.
If there's something that you feel like you didn't say, this sort of gives you an opportunity to feel like you are. But it just depends how people view it. I'd feel like, well, I know I'm not saying it to them. I know I'm talking to a machine, so it depends. And as you say, Eileen, that's the big kind of not good thing about it is if it does bring you a massive amount of comfort and you do feel like it's a really positive thing, then you're going to want to do it all the time, and you'll be relying on talking to this.
It reinforces loneliness, doesn't it? Because if you're thinking, well, I wish I had said that. If you had a good friend you could talk to, you could say, well, I was thinking about a mum and I wish I'd said X. You could share that with a human being.
Yes.
And you wouldn't know what would come back from that either.
No.
And you would enhance your relationship with a fellow human. And I would think people who don't have someone to talk to, it must make them lonelier if they believe that they're getting something from this process. Well, perhaps only for days it may not matter, but if it goes on for weeks and months, I could see that could actually be harmful to their future
and the
mental health.
The usefulness with it would completely depend on how much data you give it. So if you give it just one page of text, that's not going to be the same as if you gave it a diary worth of information from them, because they're not going to be able to emulate. I'm not quite sure how they're going to do this properly.
No, and it's kind of like, what's the point? You know, if you think, well, I'm not going to give them much information, and then they say something and you go, oh, well, they never would have said that, then the whole thing is pointless. But if you're going to spend ages putting all this information in to get the right kind of response, well, it's just so artificial, isn't it?
The kind of things,
artificial.
The kind of things I've used AI for emotional situations is I've said, currently I'm in an argument with so-and-so, and these are my feelings towards the situation, these are the feelings of the other person towards the situation, and what I'll actually do is I'll voice record this on my phone, so I need to go backtrack and delete all these notes because it'll sound very strange if my phone's stolen, and then I'll say it very quickly and I'll say, I think they're thinking this, I think this is why we've fallen out, and then I copy this transcript. I love technology, I've always have since I was a little girl, so that I'm super quick with this, it doesn't take up my whole day. copy the transcript. I copy it and paste it into ChatGPT. Again, that's not ideal because you think, well, where's this data going? It's quite personal. You've got to be careful if it's leaked as well. And then you can ask ChatGPT or an artificial intelligence, how would I deal with this situation? Or what do you think the other person's feeling? Or what are my next steps in the situation?
And have you got some good advice?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I feel like sometimes when I'm in the height of an emotional situation, I don't always react really rationally, and it sort of helped me to rationalise my feelings a bit more.
It's like having a counsellor.
Yes.
Without having to pay.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
And what
Or
I
a
say,
best friend.
the AI actually does have, it may only have one text from the person who's the lost beloved, but it has information about what age that person is, what they're feeling, what surrounded them when they were growing up. I could see that a chatbot could have quite a conversation with you about the music that you loved when you were 15, and it could reminisce with you almost better than a friend, because it's got that they have that massive information about what was happening when you were 15.
And then once you've retained that information, you can then take that to a real life human. So when I've done sort of emotional work with ChatGPT in the last year, I've got back these bullet points. I thought, oh, that's quite an interesting bullet point. So I think, well, when I next see that person, I can be a bit more rational, or I can talk to them about this particular point. So it's helped me quite a lot. And I was quite against using ChatGPT for emotional things when it first came out. But now it's sort of really been developed, and I love technology. I'm sort of experimenting with it in all aspects of my life. So maybe I'm turning into a robot.
I think
it's only the way that you move your arms that gives it away.
But with all these things, with most things in life, but I mean, certainly with these, looking at the ChatGPT and even specifically the Grief AI, it'll work for some. You know, some people will really embrace it and it could be a really good thing, and others will just not go near it in a million years. But what I think is good is to understand that it could be useful for some. You know, there'll be some people that will go the rest of their lives without even looking at ChatGPT and will think, oh, it sounds ridiculous, I'm not interested, and will decide that they don't like it without having used it, which people do a lot in life. So I think it's nice to kind of understand that it does have a purpose, and that it can be incorporated into people's lives if they want, I guess. Oh, what a lovely lesson. Life lesson. Okay, I'm going to do one more quick break before we start talking about Julia Roberts' Perfect Skin.
TRE, Talk Radio Europe.
Being an author can be frustrating.
There is a part of me which thinks, oh my goodness, it took me a whole year to produce that and they read it in one day.
It takes a lot of time and effort to create a gripping story.
Reviewers simply say, oh, the Francis books, they're just easy reading. But let me tell you, I work very hard to make them easy reading.
There are still no guarantees it'll do well, of course.
I have a foundation of being good at what I do, but dear God, everything hinges on luck.
Join me, Hannah Murray, on The Book Show to hear more authors talking about their journey. Thursdays from 7 p.m, repeated on Saturdays from 8 p.m, here on Talk Radio Europe. Have you enjoyed the process of writing this book?
Been a bit of a nightmare, to be honest.
Saving on your insurance is quick with Linea Directa.
When you say quick, how quick?
In a jiffy, my dear.
What, like at warp speed?
Before you can say Jack Robinson.
Oh, grease lightning.
Talking of which, how's that Morris Minor of yours?
Switch and save on your insurance with Linea Directa. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 satisfied customers recommend us. Call 919-181-130, that's 919-181-130, and get the best price for car, bike and home insurance. Conditions apply.
At Global, we offer all your relocation needs all over Spain, from immigration, relocation and international moving. Global is the only international mover in Spain with a 5-star rating in Google. Members of FIDI means we're audited yearly by Ernst & Young on our standards and procedures. GlobalInternational.com, with offices all over Spain and headquarters in Madrid. See more at GlobalInternational.com, the experts for expats in Spain.
Talk Radio Europe. TRE. Hannah Murray. TRE in the afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are listening to the last part of, the last part of Women Talk with Eileen Ordas, Sheila Meller and Katie Rowlands. There's an article here that I thought I wanted to discuss for different reasons than the headline, to be honest. It's a gorgeous picture of the beautiful Julia Roberts, one of my favourite actresses. The headline reads, "What's Julia's anti-aging secret? Great genes and the love of a good man." And I looked at this, and I have to admit I was slightly cynical. I looked at her and I thought, gosh, she's absolutely beautiful. You know, I don't think she's changed much in sort of 30 years, or if she has, maybe she looks even more beautiful than she did 30 years ago. You know, absolutely stunning. And I thought, you know, women all over the world will look at this article, or just general articles and pictures of not just Julia Roberts, famous women, and think, oh, how do they get their skin like that, for example, you know, how do they get their... I'm not talking about fitness or weight necessarily. I'm talking, I guess, about skin, kind of aging, anti-aging, that whole kind of thing. So looking at what looks like absolutely flawless skin, she doesn't have a single wrinkle on her, and there are, you know, more and more women who are looking like that. And I just kind of wonder whether women, high-profile women, have any kind of responsibility, whether it's any of our business or not, whether they should say, by the way, I've had work done. I don't know whether she has, so I don't want to specifically judge Julia Roberts. Is it any of our business, or do we think they have a responsibility to say, yes, my skin looks great, but I have a great surgeon, or I've been doing Botox for 20 years, or whatever. So women around the world think, oh, how do I get my skin as amazing as hers? She's so lucky to have such great skin, when actually... maybe she doesn't. Maybe she's spent a lot of money on treatments. I don't know. What do you think?
And also, we've only seen a photograph. We don't know how much that reflects her in actual real life.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, up close and personal, first thing in the morning, she might, you know, not look as good as that. We can all look amazing, can't we, if somebody takes our photograph that knows what they're doing.
With a makeup artist and a hair artist and all
and
of
the
that.
filters as well.
Filters I don't know how I feel about filters either.
No.
But I think is she actually trying to sell a product?
I don't think so. No, she's talking about, you know, she's obviously in a relationship, got a good man, and she's got good genes.
I mean, my best friend Annie, she's just a little bit younger than me, but she has got the most amazing skin. Absolutely amazing. And she's never had... I don't even think she's ever even had a facial.
Wow.
She's just got incredible skin.
Yeah.
And her mum is 96 now. She's hardly got a wrinkle.
Wow, really?
Wow.
My goodness.
So it can be genes.
I do think a lot of it's genes.
I think there's a lot in that.
If I look at my mum's side of the family, they're all, I don't know, they just all look quite a lot younger for their age, really. Sorry, my dad's side of the family. I don't know if she's got a responsibility to tell us. I don't know. I don't feel the real urge to know. Perhaps I would if I was a little bit older, but I feel like I can spot Botox a lot more easily now. I think because I'm surrounded by a lot of people who have had Botox.
Yeah.
And people are starting to have Botox in their early 20s.
I find that shocking.
So I went out to a pub over Christmas time in my local area, and I said to my sister, those people are your age and they're 25, and have they had Botox? And she said, probably. I was just shocked. I thought, why would you have it done?
It's becoming more and more normal.
And sometimes if you have a poor job of it, it just makes you look a little bit uncanny valley. Sort of just a little... something's just like a little bit... You look maybe just a little bit off your normal look. And it doesn't necessarily make you look younger, I don't think. But I feel like when I'm surrounded in certain areas, such as Marbella, by lots of young people who've all had sort of similar surgeons, I just feel like... it's not very unique, and you've all got the same facial expressions and things like that. Sorry to anyone who's had any...
No, it's... Yeah, I
think you asked a question... Well, Julia Roberts is selling herself in a way, isn't she? Even if she's not selling a product. She is... But I think if you think of Julia Roberts, you'd think, yes, she's gorgeous, but she's actually a fantastic actress.
Definitely.
That's what I think about Julia Roberts, and I've seen her do fabulous performances in good films. But if you are selling the product that you have put on your skin to make you look that way. Tinternet is full of people who have airbrushed, enhanced this, enhanced that, either digitally or in real life. I mean, the Kardashian figure with the small top and what I consider to be rather large hips, I don't consider that to be attractive. But obviously, those people have made that attractive because all round this area, Marbella, San Pedro, I see women with enhancements.
Very bizarre.
But look at Judi Dench. I mean, she's beautiful and she's such a absolutely amazing actor, and she's just never had a thing done.
No,
she's grown old so gracefully.
Exactly, so nice. I think there's lots of women who haven't been shy about saying they've had work done, and we know that, and we can appreciate that. The likes of Cher, for example, everyone says, "Look how amazing she looks." She looks amazing. She does look amazing, but we all know that she's had loads of work done. She doesn't naturally look like that. Or what's her name? Jane Fonda as well. Absolutely incredible. But again, she's had loads of work done.
But there's other people sorry, I interrupted that.
No, go on.
There's other people like Simon Cowell and sort of Sharon Osbourne, and they just look like they've changed too much. I don't know if you've seen a picture.
Sharon Osbourne recently.
Yes.
What has she
doesn't
done?
look like herself
No,
at all.
I don't know if she's
totally
poorly.
different.
She's on the weight loss tablet as well, isn't she?
Is she?
She's lost 20 pounds on this new drug.
But she's done the lips as well. She looks gaunt with big lips.
Who was that in The Diary Woman?
Oh, Renée Zellweger.
I mean, she just transformed into
looked
nothing.
totally different.
Absolutely like a different person.
It's weird, isn't it? It is a shame. I mean, I get the pressures, for these women in the spotlight. They want, it must be horrendous. It must be really, really difficult. But I just think it would be good for normal women to kind of, instead of thinking, they're these, goddesses or whatever with good genes, if they have had work done, I just thought it might be nice for people, instead of people thinking, I want to look like Cher when I'm that much older, they need to be realistic and know that Cher's spent an awful lot of money and had an awful lot of operations in order to look like that.
She didn't just drink a lot of water and have a good man.
Exactly. Bit of honesty. We have barely 3 minutes left, so we'll just end on this one, which sort of made me chuckle. We talked about this with the men last week. The headline is "Why Men Are Keen to Keep Bad News to Themselves." We kind of spoke last week about the fact that women are so much better than men in general, but they all agreed with me last week about, sharing bad news. Women would tell their friends straight away, or female siblings, relatives, whatever, if something's going wrong. But men don't tend to do that as much, and it's weird. It's a shame. They could benefit more from sharing bad news.
I also think it's quite a British thing to keep stum about things going wrong. I think being in more of an international environment, I do notice people, both men and women, opening up a bit more about their bad news.
Oh, that's good. Maybe younger men are doing it more.
Maybe. I'm not really surrounded by younger men, but
Well, I mean younger than the men that we're surrounded by.
I'm sure you are.
I don't mean young as in 12. I mean young as in like 20-somethings, 30-somethings.
Most of my colleagues are between 45 and 55, so I do notice most of that age group are quite open. I don't know.
Really?
I feel like other cultures other than British culture can be a little bit more blunt in their language, the way they talk, and also sometimes about their feelings. And I think it sometimes depends on how you're with them. But in general, I do agree women are more open than men, regardless of the age or the country.
We might have a quick time for this one. Why money is the key to becoming a superwoman. Talking about women and kind of being independent and having your own money and finances so you can kind of do what you want instead of relying on a man and their finances.
Absolutely.
If you have a choice, have some.
Yeah.
If you can choose, have some.
Yes.
It absolutely helps.
Yeah. to be able to do what you want and make decisions. And
there are still some traditional values people have though when they go dating. I think a lot of people still feel like the man should pay for the first date, so it's strange we're sort of moving away from that idea,
but then wanting to hold on to the things that suit us.
I watched
what's wrong with that?
I watched an episode of First Dates, and then there was a woman who insisted that she must pay the entirety of the bill. Wow. So yes, it's funny. Some people want to flip it, but some people want to keep it back in the past.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much. We're at the end of today's show. Thank you, Eileen, Sheila and Katie. Howard Brereton is coming up after the news. Enjoy your weekend. It starts now for me. I'll see you Monday.
Online, on mobile, on the TRE app, your smart speaker and on air. This is TRE, Talk Radio Europe. Your voice in Spain and around the world.
From the Sky News Centre at 5, more than 3,000 jobs could be at risk in South Wales as it's understood Tata Steel will announce